Hello guys, welcome to our Meets channel one more time. First of all, big thanks for liking my first video, and I'm sure that with that video at least you can start thinking that having a website of our own, like it's just a cup of tea, right? Having our own domain is altogether a different story, right? You can have that domain for your own testing, you can have your that domain for your own business or any other stuff also, right? Yes, like so today we are going to talk about Firebase, so which you are seeing on the screen itself, right? From layman's point of view, I would say that this Firebase is all about your live backend. I still remember during my earlier like training period, like whenever I have to deliver any training program on, especially on HTML, so I lack somewhere else that when it comes to database, how to like tell the guys that yeah, we can have database, because ultimately whenever we are talking about database, so either I have to go for ASP.NET or I have to go for Java or something else, right? So altogether like some server kind of thing. Or in last example, if you have seen, so I've used PHP also only for single page, but yes, so I can use PHP also. So that means I need some sort of server, either it could be a ASP.NET, PHP, or a Java, and with that, like I have to like showcase my like the storage mechanism, that yes, via HTML we can have storage and all that, right, along with the blend of ASP.NET or a Java or PHP, right? But we'll see over here. So what is the beauty of this Firebase, like? So when it comes to architecture, let me clarify. So it lies between server and the client, and like from client, I would say it could be your Apple iOS, right, phone, or it could be your Windows phone also, or Windows machine also, or it could be your Android device also, right? So this Firebase is providing like communication between the server and the client. So whatever the code you have it out there on a server, so any code, like any specific code, so that can like provide you can say this Firebase will provide the bridge between that particular stuff, right, actually, right? So from clear cut understanding, Firebase is act as a backend as a service, so we can generally we call it as a PaaS, right? And if you are, I'm sure you guys are aware of what is PaaS, but from again from for knowledge purpose, so it allows actually developers to have a focus on only onto the front end to their applications, and to get your leverage of your backend services without building any especially those areas and all that, right? So that's what we have your this PaaS, and it is like a serverless actually computing, share your some similarities, and many providers offer both. So that is the benefit of having that particular model. So it provides developers with a variety of tools, services, and I would say the very best part of this Firebase is it is based upon Google's infrastructure, right? Now if I'll rewind the things, right, so it was founded way back by James and Andrew. So like they plotted out their way back in 2011, and it was actually initially named as Involve, like, so they later renamed, and they actually I still remember Involve was purely based upon your, it was a purely API that enables like a kind of chat functionality into their websites. But later they like definitely improvised this the entire system and all that, they come up with this real-time architecture also, and then later they separated the your, you can say, Firebase as a separate unit, and I think near about 2011 or so, right? So that was the basic part of that. So acquired by Google, and further like Google's another acquired company, that is DevShot, which I remember like that is purely for your HTML and all that, right? So they come up with that. So it is like HTML, this DevShot is a HTML5 web-based hosting platform. So they merged it, and they within the same Firebase team, and I'm sure like even when when you check out with that Firebase your main dashboard, you will realize that yes, it's all together like very superior one. And Firebase first product was like it was like meant for your Firebase real-time database, so where we can store the information and all that in terms of data records and so on. and the product assists software developers in building real time. That's the very another good, I would say, the advantage of that, that whatever we are having some information, so that would be in the form of real time actually. So, like Firebase now integrates you with various other Google services, like also like your Google Cloud Platform, your AdMob, your Google Ads. So you can play around with these different services to leverage like Firebase more for your application actually. Now, from benefits point of view, I would say like you can build your application in a very powerful way. Why? Whenever you are developing any application, so ultimately you need one UI, one database, one middleware. So when someone is taking care of that part, where you have to just consider only about the front end, so I think that would be really good. So without database tools, like I said, so you need not to depend on any database. So still you can have that functionality of storage, retrieval, and manipulation of those values and all that kind of crude operations, and spin up your backend without managing servers. So rather spending times, hours, and days and years like on your tweaking your servers and all that, somehow at least you can rely on this particular stuff also. So effortlessly scale to support millions of users with Firebase databases, machine learning, infrastructure, hosting and storage solutions, and cloud functions. Many more are Firebase features. So there are n number of features, right? And I'm sure like the way we are stepping in towards this direction, so I'm sure Google in future very they'll come up with some new innovations also, like as I said, like it is related to having some inclusion of your machine learning and so on, right? So altogether, sometimes like people also call this Firebase as a your NoSQL database program, so where they store the data in the form of JSON also. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. It's very scaled down level of storage system is your JSON, right? So these are different verticals. So we can have your in within the Firebase you can have your authentication. So that means whenever you want to like check it out with your Google and all those kind of Google Gmail kind of authentication within your applications, you can go for that. Real-time database is also hosting, test lab, notifications. So these are like some of the you can say verticals through that are part of your Firebase actually. So if I have to like give you the idea that how we can work upon this Firebase, so I would suggest to have one small scenario, so which I have created for so that we can understand things better in a clear way. So let's say there is Dr. Albert D'Souza, right? He approached to our development team and shared one fact that he would like to share like information related to his clinic with his patients. So till now he was using your WhatsApp, but later someone has suggested that it would be really very good to have your his own domain, like I suggesting you. So to make it much more professional way, right? So ultimately what he wanted is he wanted to put information within that particular site, and he has to retrieve that particular information, maybe he or maybe his patients, so they can retrieve their information and all that. So it's something like doctor will save some information and patient or doctor itself, so they can get the data also. So that's the very simple scenario which I have just like pinching in front of you. So if I'll talk about technically, so ultimately we need domain plus hosting space, which I already gave you the idea last, like in the last video, that how we can have a domain and hosting via GoDaddy. And with at least like we need one or two pages, like very simple. So maybe within the single page itself, so we can have that, and or we can have two different pages also within for that particular part. So why those two pages? So obvious, one separately for your storing information or one for retrieving. Either you can put both the things, means storage as well as retrieval within the same, but I'm just giving an idea like how we can work upon that. But ultimately from technical perspective, like how to design that. So Very simple thing is, first, if I'll talk about first example, which is my favorite one, like always, because I'm into like .NET era, so so I'll always love to go with the .NET itself. So yeah, so I can go with ASP.NET with some like tinge of database. So it could be like plain JSON. So means via ASP.NET I can save all the information of your data within the JSON. Second, I can use MySQL also, obvious. So that means via ASP.NET along with some like chunk of MySQL in terms of table, I can store that also. And at last, I can go for that the last vertical also, that Microsoft SQL Server, right? So through which I can also create the database, and then I can connect with my ASP.NET, and then I can enjoy like the storage and the retrieval. Second could be your PHP, or again could be your Java also, right? So and along with, again as usual, so I can use some sort of your database. Either it could be your JSON plain, and it could be your MySQL also. But if I'll talk about in a very simple way, when I'm hosting something, right, and when I'm hosting a page, so that could be a PHP, or a ASP.NET could be a Java. But when it comes to database, so don't you think I need to have a server for that? Or even if it is, I'm taking space from the GoDaddy, so I have to like activate those your database services. Or in other sense, I should be very careful that yes, my domain is having database support or not. Yeah, obvious. But what if I'll say using HTML, Firebase, and JavaScript? That's it. We don't need any other thing actually. We'll see. I'll tell you how we can move further. This is all about the introduction for your Firebase, and I'm sure in next video I'll show you how to implement the functionality which we just discussed now. So precisely, we will be able to save, as well as we will be able to read the data via Firebase actually. Yeah, so thanks guys, thanks for your time.